Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes. Good morning. Good morning. How are you? Good. We are so excited to have you here with us. My name is Rita Michaels, and I am the Executive Director of Georgia Transplant Foundation. That light is very bright in my head. And we are so happy to have you here with us today. And those of you joining us virtually, thank you also for being with us. And we will get started in just a few minutes. But beforehand, I wanted to introduce you to Rebekah Moshiri. She's our Director of Patient Services, and her and I will be your moderators for today. We want to also take a second to thank our sponsors. We have Walgreens, Community Walgreens, and CareDx, who have been very generous in helping us, and as well as Piedmont Hospital, who has gifted us this great space. And we thank them very much for helping us make this event possibly free for all of you to attend. Can you get a housekeeping? Thank you. So just a few housekeeping items really quickly before we get started. If you have any questions today for the presenters, please keep those in mind. There will be time for questions after each session. If you are joining us virtually, if you would like to type the questions in the chat box, we will get to those as we can. If there are questions that we do not have time to get to because we are on a little bit of a tight schedule, if you will send those to us or put them in the chat, and we will address, give those to the doctors or the presenters afterwards and try to get those answers back to you within 1 week. So please keep that in mind. Today's presentations are being recorded, and we will have those available within the next week for you to be able to go back and see if that's something that you're interested in, especially the ones that are happening in this room. And what you do hear from the Faces of Hope speakers are based on personal experiences, and you should always defer to your doctor and your transplant team for any medical advice. So please keep that in mind. The last thing we did want to cover is that also we are not affiliated with any one transplant center, even though we are happy to be here today at Piedmont. We work with all 4 transplant centers in the state, and we work with transplant centers across the country. As long as they work with Georgia residents, then we are more than happy to work with them for the benefit of the patient. So please keep that in mind. So really quickly today, this is our agenda for today. We're going to start with a quick GTF 101 from Rebekah. We're going to overview some of our programs and services so you get a better idea of what we have to offer you. We're then going to go into our organ-specific breakout sessions. So kidney patients will stay in this room, and upstairs we will have lung, liver, and heart, and we will have volunteers up there to help you get around, and signage all over to help direct you. And then we're going to come back in here for our keynote speaker, our Faces of Hope. Then we'll have lunch while we're having our last session, which is lunch with the experts. And we hope that you'll enjoy that as well. And is Miss Hannah Graves in here? If everybody can please help me give a round of applause to Miss Hannah Graves. Thank you. She is social worker extraordinaire who has helped us make today possible and really has helped so much on the Piedmont side. So we really appreciate her and everything she does for GTF and our patients. Yeah. So do you want to do the? Okay. So really quickly, something fun that we love to do, and we love doing this at our TNTs, and are so happy that we are all back together in person to be able to do this, is to see how long you have all had your transplants. And if you're joining us virtually, please also type this in the chat box so that you can be a part of it. So if you have had, actually, we just met somebody who's had her kidney for 3 weeks. Isn't that, is she in here? Yes, we give her a round of applause. Amazing. And anybody else had it less than 6 months? Oh, congratulations. Thank you for being here. If we could have everybody who's 6 months and more and had their transplant, please stand up, because we want to give you a round of applause to thank you for being here. Everybody who had, hold on, stand. If you've had your transplant less than 2 years, please sit down. Less than 5 years. Less than 10 years? How long have you had yours?
8 years this year, August 25th.
Amy, thank you for being here. And you, ma'am?
I'm 20 years out. It's a kidney.
Amazing. 20 years. 20 years of liver. Thank you for being here. And you? 26 years. What organ? Amazing. Thank you. And you? 17. Thank you. A liver? Kidney. Thank you. You, sir? 8 years liver. Thank you so much. Ma'am? 13 years kidney. Wow. Thank you. And I don't know if you've all seen Joe Scott outside. He got his heart in 1996. So amazing. Ma'am, yes.
25 years kidney.
Amazing. Thank you. 25 years kidney. Well, thank you all. And obviously, this conference is not just for people who've already received a transplant, for also some of you who are waiting or on dialysis. And we really appreciate you being here also, but we just want to show you that our faces of hope and the people in the room today really are there to encourage you and to show you that it is possible. And yes, sir, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to miss you.
26 plus kidney.
26 plus kidney. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here.
People who wrote in online. We have Angela Powell has had her kidney transplant for 18 years, and Terry Beaver has had a kidney for 15 years.
Really, truly amazing, and exactly why we're here today and why we work so hard. So thank you all for being here today. And now, without further ado, please help me welcome Rebekah. Moshiri is going to do a brief GTF 101 for us.
First of all, thank you guys so much for being here today. I'm so glad that we are here in person, able to see each other, not just on the screen, but see each other and be able to talk and meet other people who have been through the transplant process, people who are going through it. It's just so much more powerful to be physically together. So thank you for coming out today. I want to make sure that you all know about all of the programs and services that the Georgia Transplant Foundation offers. There are many. I'm going to give you a short overview, but in your folder, there is also what we call a rack card, and it has all of this information. Our website is also an amazing place to get more information about all of these programs. But here's a really quick overview for you. So first of all, we have 3 different types of programs. We have our financial assistance, the transplant fundraising program, and then education and community programs. People who are eligible for our programs are Georgia residents. It can be transplant candidates, recipients, living donors, dialysis patients, and those who are seeking organ transplant. And then you need to have a situation of need that's related to the transplant. So now we've tried to split these into categories based on when you might use the programs. So this is going over our financial assistance. So the things that would be available to you when you're pre-transplant. We have dental assistance. So this is if your transplant center has told you that you need to get dental clearance in order to be actively listed. So we want you to have completed everything else first and then have dental clearance as that last item that you need to complete. There's an application that's on our webpage. You would see your dentist, get a treatment plan. Do not get the work done yet. You need to submit the application, and GTF will work with your dental office to get everything set up so then you can get the treatment completed and get your dental clearance. We also offer insurance premium assistance. Now, this really is just for people who might be transitioning from you've been working, you have your insurance through your employer, but then your whatever the disease is that's causing your need for transplant has made it so that you can't work at this point. So you still have your insurance through your employer, but you're on leave. So you're most likely not receiving income from your employer at that time, but you still have to pay them your premiums. So that's a case where GTF could assist for a short time to sort of get you through while you need to keep having that employer insurance. We offer evaluation assistance. So this is for somebody who lives at least 75 miles from the transplant center where they're traveling to be evaluated. Many people these days get evaluated at multiple centers. So let's say that you live in the metro Atlanta area, you've gotten evaluated at Piedmont and/or Emory, but your doctor has also recommended that you look at getting evaluated at MUSC, the Mayo Clinic, at UAB in Birmingham. If you are going to travel there for evaluation and you have financial need, then we have a program that might be able to assist with some funds towards your fuel costs. And then if you do need to stay there, if the evaluation is over a course of days, then we can also help with lodging. And then we always want people to know, for many people who are waiting for a kidney transplant, I'm sure you keep hearing that you'll get that transplant faster if you have a living donor. But for a lot of people, you don't want to start asking people, hey, will you be my living donor? And I think for many people, part of that hesitancy is that you don't want it to impact people financially. You don't want them to not be able to pay their bills because they've donated to you. So we have a program that assists people by helping with their household bills while they're recovering. And if they're traveling for the evaluation and donation, it also assists them with those travel costs. So at the time of transplant, people also have a lot of financial needs that can come up. Emergency assistance, that's what we call it when we help with your household bills. So that would be if you or your caregiver is experiencing a loss of income during your transplant and recovery period, then GTF might be able to help with some of your household bills to try to offset that income loss. Medication assistance. Are meds important for you guys to take? For life, exactly. And many times you'll suddenly either have a new dosage that costs a lot more. Maybe you have an unexpected deductible that's come up. Maybe you've had an insurance or job change. There are just lots of situations where somebody might suddenly feel that they are not able to afford their meds when they go to get them filled. We want to help in those sort of emergency situations because we never want you to miss doses of your meds because you suddenly can't afford it for some reason. We also help with insurance premiums. So again, with all those changes and things that can happen, you know, things come up and we know how important it is for you to have your insurance coverage so you can continue to get the health care that you need. And for many people who are on dialysis, they're getting assistance through the AKF program with their insurance premiums while on dialysis. After you get the transplant, that will normally end within a year. And at that point, if you still need a little extra time to figure out how to incorporate that premium into your budget, then GTF can likely assist. We normally assist with insurance premiums for 3 months to give you time to be working with your social worker and coming up with a plan to be able to cover it long term. And then transportation assistance. Right at the time of transplant, you normally have lots of clinic visits and lab draws and that sort of thing. You're traveling back and forth to the center frequently, and that can really add up, especially with gas prices as they are these days. So this program helps based on how far you live from the center and the number of trips that you have scheduled for the month. And it's a check that we send you that is funds for you to use for your travel costs. So, important key things to remember. You access all of these programs through either your transplant social worker or your dialysis social worker. Now, if you say, hey, I had my transplant 15 years ago, I don't have a transplant social worker anymore. The great thing is that you do. Through your transplant center, you still have access to those social workers. If you are pre-transplant and you're not a kidney patient who has a dialysis social worker, you would still have access to the social workers through your transplant center. They have pre-transplant social workers who can help you. Now, here is a great program that we offer that I love to tell people about, especially when they're pre-transplant. So I know many of you have already had your transplants, but I would love for you to know about it and spread the word to other people that you talk to. So this program was created to really help people to prepare financially for the costs that they know they're going to have after their transplant. You can apply pre-transplant for a matched account, and GTF will match up to $10,000 that you raise. You have 1 year after you are accepted into the program to raise the funds, and at the end of the year, we match that amount up to $10,000. You can continue to fundraise, but what happens is that whatever you raise sits in an account until the time you get your transplant. And then the funds can be used primarily for your medication costs and for your insurance premiums. There's a small amount that you could use to cover things like a hospital deductible, a medical bill, a doctor's copay, things like that. But it's really nice for people to know that they have these funds set aside so that after their transplant, you can access your meds, you can have direct billing with the pharmacy, and you also will be able to pay your insurance premiums. So you can continue to get your health care. Like I said, you do have to be pre-approved, and it's before you're transplanted in order to get a matched account. We also have fundraising workshops. I think a lot of people hear fundraising and you go, oh, I don't know how to fundraise. Like, I don't have a big group of wealthy friends. But there are so many different ways that you can do it and that you can be successful without having a group of wealthy friends. And we'd love for you to attend our workshop. We offer it in a hybrid format, so you can come to our office in person or attend it online, and we'll give you lots of tips and ideas for fundraising. And then our education and community programs. You guys are at one of those today, our Trends in Transplant conferences. During COVID, we moved them all online, but we're so excited now to be able to be out and about again in the state. This year we were in Macon and in Augusta, and now we're here. Next year, we hope to go to even more cities around the state of Georgia, and we'll definitely be holding an Atlanta one again. We also have the Jumpstart program. So for lots of people, while you're waiting for your transplant and after you've gotten your transplant, for many of you, you end up not working during that time. You're not able to. And then at some point, you think about going back, but it can be sort of, oops, I dropped it, but it can be sort of a scary idea. Getting your resume together again, thinking about what am I going to actually do? Can I do the same thing that I did pre-transplant, or is that going to have to look different now? So we have a program that's able to work with you and sort of talk through those things and help you with updating your resume, with interview skills, with different things like that, and also connecting you with other programs that offer services to help. And that's called Jumpstart. We have a wonderful coordinator named Ossie who would love to talk and work with you. So if you're interested in that program, the best way to get involved is through our webpage to fill out a Jumpstart referral form. And then Ossie would reach out to you. We also have the Mentor Project. This is one of my favorites. So can you guys raise your hands if either you are a mentor or you have a mentor or you had a mentor at some point? All right, I'm glad to see a lot of hands in the room. So with the Mentor Project, what we do is we offer training sessions for people who have had a transplant and you're at least 6 months out from your transplant. We train you on different things like listening skills, confidentiality, just different things like that. And then you would be matched with somebody who's going through the transplant process. So we have mentors available for recipients. We also have them for caregivers and for living donors. So for many people who are looking at the idea of transplant, going through evaluation, it would be nice to talk to somebody who's lived through it. I've been in transplant for so many years, and I can tell you a lot about what people have told me, but I haven't lived through it. So sometimes it's really nice to be able to talk to somebody who has. So that's what that program is. You can also request a mentor through our webpage. The TNT conferences I mentioned, we offer tutoring assistance. This is for pediatric patients who've missed a lot of schooling while they're getting their transplant. We have an academic scholarship program that I'd like for all of you to know a little bit about. So we offer scholarships once a year. They're available for recipients, for the dependent of a recipient, for living donors, and for a child whose sibling got a transplant. So most of them are $1,000 for 4 years. They're available for anybody who's going either back, it could be going to college, but it could also be just doing some sort of a post-high school program that, requires payment. And that's something that, you would be studying to hopefully lead to a career. That scholarship opens every year at the beginning of the year. So it'll open again January 1st, and scholarships have to be submitted by May 1st. And then our couples enrichment retreat, another one of my very favorites. So our couples enrichment retreat is for people who are post-transplant, at least 6 months, have stable health. And it's for couples to be able to go. We hold it at St. Simon's Island. It's a retreat center called Epworth by the Sea. And it's time for the couple just to focus again on their relationship, on each other. You've been through this really hard, tumultuous, thing that's happened with your transplant. And many times people's roles change. Just kind of everything changes, and you aren't focusing on your marriage or your relationship during that time. So it's not just for people who I've had a couple of people say, oh, I didn't think I could attend that because my husband and I, we don't have relationship problems. It's not about that. It's not that you have problems. It's that you've been through this big thing. Now you can take the time to focus on each other and your relationship again. So we offer that every other year. We did have it this year, so our next one will be in 2025. And the cost is $50 for couples to attend. If you're interested in it, then you can get on our interest list, and I will email you to let you know that we're about to open registration for the next conference. So I think that was pretty much everything. As I mentioned earlier, you can get so much information on our webpage, which is gatransplant.org. Do we have time? It's 9:30 already. Through the day, if people have questions, please feel free to grab me or other GTF staff and ask questions. Right now, it's time for us to move to our breakout sessions.